Hello everyone. Can everyone hear me? Hopefully Joel will come through with the YouTube. Gonna come through with the YouTube? Wonderful. Brilliant. Because we are live now. There we go. That's my. I've got them both on. That's going to be really confusing. That doesn't matter. Right. So we've got it there. Can people hear me okay? Joel looks blank.
No, I'm alright.
Okay.
Everyone's commenting.
What are they commenting? I'll need you for this.
They're all saying hello.
Wonderful. Hello everyone. There's two cameras. I'm going to do it like this today where I've got these two cameras here. Well, these two cameras there. These, technically, five cameras here. That'll be interesting. Right. If you need anything, pop it in the chat. Joel will relay it to me. Obviously, we're going to have about a 10-second delay. Thank you, Internet. Oh, thank you, Internet, for making all of this very easy. Right, so, shall we have a look at what we are doing? So, as I said, I've got about 5 different types of camera here. I'm going to try and get through this nice and quickly. A lot of this is informative. Some of it is mandatory. This at the minute I would say is probably mandatory. The rest of these for the time being are a little bit informative. I want you guys to feel like you know. So, shall we start by looking at some different types of cameras. There's this one as well, but we'll get to that in a second. And we can have a little talk through how we can approach some things, how we can go about producing packages, and why we would need this many different tools and for what purpose. So I'm going to whack some of these off. Ooh, you're heavy. Pop them down here, and then we can get started looking at a few bits and pieces. Well, actually, maybe you know what? I'll leave this on here. I'll leave this on here for the time being. So, I think for the time being, let's start with mobile journalism. Let's start with the old Mojo kit. So, as we can see here, let me move some of this out of the way. Decided to do this an easy way. So you can see here we've got our. Do you want to pull that in on here for me? Just give me a bit tighter on the old table, just so that my camera there is a bit tighter in. There we go. And down and in. Wonderful. There, I'll move some of these out of the way then, just to give us a clear view. It might be a bit soft, I can't tell. You've moved over next to it. That will be the one I need. And please tell me if there's any rustling of my lanyard. You know what? Lanyard's gone. Lanyard's gone before it becomes an issue. So, here we have a simple setup for the Mojo kit. Mojo, as Nathan has already covered, mobile journalism, i.e. either on the move or with a mobile phone. Currently in here is an iPod Touch. That's what we have in the office, in the kit room, if you need something to film on specifically. Tell me if there are any questions. Once again, put questions if you need to ask. So what do we have here? As you can see, this is the iPod in its own right. You might not use that. You might use an iPhone. You might use an Android phone. Any and all of the above is fine. But this is a rig we specifically have for shooting with. So let me take this apart into its constituent elements, and you can see what we are working with. Right, as you can see, this is made up of 3 pieces, really. There's this as well. Joel's moving around, but that's fine. I'll grab a few other bits and pieces that might be of use, just to highlight. Right, so this is the actual phone holding dock. As you can see, we have this this little grip part here that's loosened and tightened on this side. So as you can see, what you would do is it gives you a chance to hold the phone, hold it. Yep, there we go. Let's hold it this way up. So you can hold your phone in a more steady fashion, obviously, than this. This does look dinky by today's standards, doesn't it? So we've got this here. Now you might see on top we've got these little mount points. These are what we call cold shoe mounts rather than hot shoe mounts. They are to mimic what's on top of a camera, so you can place microphones on there or perhaps small lights, depending on where you are going. Now, what we take is our phone. Sorry, let's go this way. Our phone. We'll turn it this way, so you can see where we're going. We place it so that the camera, or the phone, sits inside this point, and we can bring this down to clamp it in place. Now, as you can see, if I flip it round, the actual camera point there, oh, Joel's on it with the camera work today. Remember, coming quite tight because it's going to be fairly small if they're watching it on a laptop or something. You can see the camera is facing out this way, the screen is facing this way. If you pop out for me. Well, actually, no, that's fine because I'll do it on this camera. You can see I hold it like this. If you can see, so this camera is facing this way and I've got a screen in front of me and I can do this. And you can see that shoulders in. You know, a lot of people tend to end up holding a camera like this. Well, that's terrible for the shoulders. It makes you feel uncomfortable and is also less balanced. So, we have this in place. Now, you might be wondering, what is this? This is what we call the iRig. If we can you get it nice and tight so we can actually see the wording on it? Or is that as far as you can zoom at the minute? It's on wheels. Oh, he's lost it. He's lost it. There we go. So this is what we call the iRig Pre. Neither of that's particularly interesting. Oh, you're losing me. Thank you. As you can see, what we have is an on-off, and there's plus 48 volts. There is a gain dial here. Notice how it doesn't say volume. We have a headphone output on the top here, and we have this port. This is what we would call an XLR port. XLR is a standardized audio cabling. They're shielded and all sorts of other things and match. And you'll see if I show you this on the bottom of the mic, you can see that they clearly are the mirror opposites of one another. You know, so what we can get the whole point being that we'll cable this microphone into here. Now, on the other end, as you can see, a slightly familiar looking jack, or perhaps not so familiar to the rest of us. Some of you iPhone people, it will be considered quite positively ancient. But what this allows us to do is to plug in, you might just want to pop out a bit, it allows us to plug in a broadcast quality microphone into a phone. Because I personally wouldn't overly trust the inbuilt microphone on your iPhone or the like to give you decent quality audio. Can everyone hear me fine as well? I just want to make sure. It's usually about this point that somebody says that they've got no audio. So, if you look on the inside here, somebody, not me, but somebody has very helpfully put Velcro pads on everything. So these obviously are designed to go in together. I'm going to turn it this way. I think that'd be the most useful way to do it. So, I'm going to try and do this the other way around. So as you can see, I'm Velcroing into place my iRig, running the cable round. I want to run the cable to the other end. Running the cable round to the other end, which I'll probably do, I'll probably put one pass through here, so it's not going to get done. One pass through there. This is just trying to keep the cable tidy, otherwise it'll be, you don't want loose cables. Try your best to not have loose cables because they are an absolute bane. So, do you see, there we go. I need to press the home button. Low battery, I'm not surprised. So I'll just quickly open the camera. So if you look there, you can see I've got the camera all set up. I've got the iRig in place. And so now I'm ready to really shoot a piece, a piece on this. If you also look on the bottom, you can see that it has a standard tripod mounting hole. So if you were to get a tripod out, you can just stick a plate on it, mount it. I mean, really, this is just turning your phone camera, just giving it that. There's stuff around it that would be necessary. So, right, we have the. I'm not going to unplug all of this because we only need it on the table. But so if we take a look at this here, I'm going to show you that. Ooh. You can see that that matched with that. Ooh, there we go. I'm going to plug those two together. It's quite good. They click into place, and then I can plug the mic in there. And now you have a traditional, this is what we call a reporter's mic. As you can see, it's branded with with the news channel you work for. This is just designed to keep a little bit of wind noise off of the top of that camera. It's not the world's greatest. I wouldn't use it for everything. We've had a question?
Would this work with a new phone?
As we discovered a few months back, we do have an issue where we need to get a few bits and pieces. If you have a Lightning to 3.5, thank you, one of the 3.5mm connectors, it should work generally fine, and it has generally worked fine. I don't know, how many Android phones are without, do you know?
I'm not aware of any Android phones without.
There must be some. I can't imagine there wouldn't be any that copied Apple, but if you have anything that allows you to connect headphones to your phone, whatever your phone is, you'll be able to use that, unless it is wireless, because that will introduce what we call latency, and you'll start to see that all your audio will be out of sync with your video. Terribly helpful, I know, but it's usually not hard. Most phones package something now, or there's something you can get hold of, and we do need to look into getting a few bits and pieces. But it's all preparatory stuff. As you can see, if we look at this here, we've got camera, we've got mic. Now, if you were shooting on in a proper windy location, so you say you were out on the moors, countryside, whatever, I probably wouldn't use one of these. I would use one of these. Now, Aaron will have gone over with you different mic types, I hope. Just a brief refresher, obviously this is an omnidirectional, this is a directional mic, and the other thing I'd say about this as well is that you can see by this, the comparison between the two types of foam. One is clearly more robust than the other. I don't know why I leant in as I said robust, but I did. Emphasis, hopefully you'll all remember. So you can see we've got two types of mic. I'd like to point out that XLR is standard across nearly all of the cameras except for the DSLR. So these are the mics you'll be using full stop. Like I said, this is generally for a piece to camera. This is for if you're trying to get someone else's audio. I need to look into that, it's got loose. Right, so I'm going to put these to the side for 1 second. So that's a basic covering of Mojo stuff. I mean, if we can get a look in at the app screen there. Anyone who's got an iPhone will be familiar with that, and to be fair, most of the camera apps look the same. You'll want to go into your settings and make sure your settings are correct. One of the big problems if you iPhone people is something called variable frame rate. I won't go into it now because it's a little bit complicated, but it might be a bane of your existence when it comes to editing. Also, I'm not going to cover it today, but there's Rush. Rush is an interesting thing to look at. All of you obviously have access to the Adobe packages now. Where are we? Very quickly, 11:02.
I've got another question.
Sure.
When should I use a boom pole?
You should use a boom pole when you want to keep your mic out of shot. Also, though hopefully we are coming to the end of it, they've been a very useful tool if you've been watching your morning news in regards to social distancing. Lots of people who are going out and doing on-the-spot interviews have been using a boom pole to get a mic nice and close to somebody, whereas they would have normally held it. They've been using boom poles now to sort of mitigate social distancing issues. But for the most part, a boom pole is, like I said, for keeping a mic out of shot, and obviously for times when micing somebody might be quite an awkward affair, but it's complicated. It depends how much resource you have available to you. Really, if you're going to work a boom pole, you should have somebody whose job is to work that boom pole. You know, it can be quite difficult because if you're trying to work a camera and a boom pole, I have done many a time, it's not fun. A little bit complicated, not impossible, but it will make your life a misery, especially with all the kit you have to carry. So it might be, it's an incredibly useful tool. You know, mine lives actually back in the house now. It lives in the tripod bags, but you know, it's something I want to have with me most of the time, especially if I'm out on a shoot. You know, but it's all about how not concealed, but how it's in terms of presentation or practical usages for distancing. You know, if you want to try and keep out of a shot, especially say if you're trying to do something that's emotional. That's what I was trying to get to. If you're trying to deal with an emotional situation, it's very much keep mics away from people, allow them to be as natural as possible and feel a little uninhibited. Hopefully that answers it.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
How do I coil an XLR?
I don't believe that's written there, is it?
These both last two questions are from Aaron.
Why am I unsurprised? So I will show you the coiling of an XLR. This hasn't been uncoiled and this might be a mess, so I'm going to... Do you want to meet me round here, Jolie?
Absolutely. Don't call me that.
Sorry? I apologise, first years. You have Aaron to blame for this. And I'm sure most of you will see this demonstration in person. Oh, whoever did this one last time? Oh. Right. There is a reasoning that Aaron has very rightly brought this up, and that is because most people do not coil their cables correctly, and if you do not coil your cables correctly, they become broken. And what you must remember is, unless you have purchased it, it's not really yours, it's all of our cables. And would you go breaking all of our cables? I would hope the answer would be no. So, do you want to come in close on that? As you can see, I'm holding this flat palm this side, and I have a, well actually I might do it, oh this one's a bit twisty. I'll do it this way. So I've got it like this. I've got it palm down, and I've got my thumb there just to sort of keep it steady. Now if you look at this hand, it's a pinched grip on it. What I do is I just turn it. If you watch this hand, Joel, this hand just turns into this one. You can see that scoops under, grabs a bit of cable, come back out, usually about sort of half a metre, and again, and I pinch and I twist it. This looks easy. Every time I hand it to somebody to do, it's a lot more difficult than it looks for them. One of the other things, if they get coiled incorrectly or if they get left in bundles, they do, as you can see here, where they've got kinks in them. These take a long time to work out. But remember, on the inside of a cable is just strands of copper. That's all it is. It's just conductive electrical coil. Let's try another one of these because that's a little bit... I've done better. Also,
Got to look after those cables.
you do have to look after the cables. You guys must remember that the things that cost us the most money in this university sometimes are the cheapest items, because people don't treat them well and we have to keep replacing them, you know. And that's the difference between us getting new kit and not. You know, if you respect this stuff, we can keep it for a while and we've got more money to spend on fun things, new cameras, new audio kit, new things like that. There you go, that's a nicer coiled cable. Whilst if you don't look after this stuff, we spend all of our time effectively wasting money on things that don't need to be replaced all the time. That if you owned it, if you'd spent the, I don't know, what's a decent length XLR? Like a proper good quality one might be what, 30 quid? Yeah. 15 for a slightly cheaper one. But if you look after it, we don't have to keep buying new ones. We don't have to replace every... Remember, if we replace 10 XLR leads a year, which is not unheard of... That's generous, because that second one was slightly better. That first one was awful. Right, I'm going to get back onto actual things. So this is the Mojo kit. Obviously, remember that's your phone in there, and you've got to learn your own camera a little bit. And Nathan has mentioned, and it's true, there are better apps out there than the internal one on your phone. There's more control. You can choose frame rate, shutter speed, things like that. Things that are actually important to you. But we'll have a look over some of those things. Let's have a look at some of the other cameras that you might be using, because once you're back in, you want to be using a camera that's designed for shooting packages. If you're producing something for Newsdays, when you're intending to get a package and we're going to broadcast it and it's going to go out and be seen, then you want to be shooting it on something that was probably more designed for it. It'll make your life a lot easier as well, because it was made to do that. So let's have a look at a few of these cameras. I'm actually going to start with a DSLR. This is specifically a 600D. What different has DSLRs? You always know, because you know all the Canon ones. What have we got? We've got 600Ds.
600D, 700D, 750D. Then if you go up a step, you've got the 90D.
And the 5D, yeah.
5D, the 7D Mark II.
Basically, an awful lot of cameras. Now, DSLR stands for Digital Single Lens Reflex. And you go, what does that mean? And I go, basically it just means that you can see through the lens when you look through the viewfinder, which, seeing as you're not, well, you might take some photos with it, is not overly helpful to you. All it means, really, in reality, what it means is that you've got a camera here that you could shoot stills on, and you could also shoot really nice video. It takes all of our photography lenses, and the reason we have them is because they are so capable at giving you a very interesting, high-quality look with, pardon me, without much outlay. Have we got a question?
No.
Oh, you were floating around like we did. So, this is the 600D. They're nice, small cameras. As you can see, we've got this on top. Now, remember that hot shoe, that cold shoe mount I was talking about before? This is a hot shoe mount. I'm going to tip that towards the camera there, right there. And as you can see, this little black plastic flange, it's a flange, slots nicely in there. And then you hook that in, and you can have this nice Rode microphone on there. As you can see, once again, this is a piece of foam. As you remember from talking to Aaron and the things you've done with Aaron, this is a directional microphone, so wherever it's pointed, that's what you're getting. And we've got a little bit of foam on there for wind noise. Honestly, like I said, it's not as good as the other one, though I think a proper fluffy on there might be a bit weighty for it. Nice big screen right here. I've not popped a battery in this because I'm not going to talk about it too much. Obviously this will be a bit more complicated. A lot of shutter speed adjustments, making sure it's correct. You'll need to change lenses on it. This doesn't have a zoom lens. It's only got a 50mm lens on it, which isn't very wide, but isn't very close either. It's slap bang in the middle. But if you're going out and you say, right, I want some photos because I'm going to do a story which I want to put out on my web news day, and I want to put it up on my blog, but I also want to get some video interviews, this is probably the best thing to go for, because you got to remember, you're going out and you're going to be on the hoof. You want kit that you can take with you that's light and capable, and it's going to get the most work done for you. Once again, the mobile journalism stuff's great because they're doing that at the BBC. They have been for like at least 5 years now, minimum. A lot of that stuff has been making its way onto the news. A lot of the online content is being made that way. It is a tool that's there to be used properly. It's not like don't think of it as a second best, because it's not a second best. It's a tool where effectively you've got a camera you can edit on. That's what I was going to say about Adobe Rush before Joel asked the question. You know, you will have the Adobe accounts at the minute. You'll have them for 3 years as your first years. You guys need to know that Rush is available through that, and that means you could edit on your phone in a very similar way to how you edit in Premiere. And by similar, I mean as close as it gets, really, just touchscreen. And that's powerful. Imagine, you know, you go out and you shoot on the phone's nice and small so you can get into odd places, you know, and then you can edit it there and you send it back to your OneDrive and you're done. You are ready to go, you know, or you can take that Rush package and go, right, I've got a rough outline, load it into the computer, and you're ready to start doing fine editing in that or Prem, you know. It's a very flexible and useful tool. The DSLRs are flexible in their application. If you want photos and video, I mean, even if I go do an advertising job, it's sometimes considered, they go, oh, you'll turn up with a camera that can shoot stills as well, won't you? And I'll be like, no, I was just going to tell it something that shoots video, you know. But they kind of want that as well, that flexibility, you know. So that's a thing to look at with these. They are very, very good for that, and they can be equipped for that, and they produce lovely video as well. I think we've talked about the DSLR enough, do you not think, Joel? They're 12 minutes past, what, I'm in half an hour? We have another nice small camera. This is the, which one are you, NX5? Where's your number on you? Where's your number? This is where Aaron can tell me if it's the NX5 or not. It's an NX, I know that much. I'm assuming it's an NX5. That would be my assumption, or maybe an NX3. But basically, as you can see, this is a nice camera. See, you can start seeing some of that camera-iness now, can't you? You can see that this is the camera. Top handle for holding if you want to go low on something, like if I come back here and I want to shoot, maybe I'll go this way, maybe I'll go this way, and I'm, you know, shooting there. This is what we'd call, I mean, this isn't technically a matte box. It's a matte box-like thing. Basically, it's just there to keep light from glaring into lens. I think it's removable, if memory serves. But I can't remember. Ah, there it is. There you go. Can take it off if I wanted to. The whole point of that is to keep light off the front of the lens. Oop, there we go. Come back on. Ooh. I haven't taken one of these off in years. Come on. Oh well, it's neither here nor there. Just go this way. There we go. Also, it's got its... Ooh. Should be able to close that gap. There we go. You know, that's useful, just keeping your lens protected. Now you can see on this microphone, on this camera, that we've got controls for mic inputs here. Get in there, Joel. Go on. Closer. Sharper. Just a little bit. There we go. It's got 2 channels of input. These are 2 gain dials for your input. And you can see these inputs are right here. Let me just pull this off. If you remember, you'll see the can't do this without looking at it. Come on. Oh, basically there's two, that's because I'm getting on the wrong bit. There we go. There's 2 XLR inputs there. Does that look familiar? I hope so. They are standard. All the rest of these cameras will have these now. They are, like I said, they're industry standard. Our nice XLR cable goes in there. This on the other end. And I have one of these microphones again. You know, these are nice and small. Once again, small is really good for you guys. Just because it allows you to get in places, it allows you to look at stuff. I mean, look at the size of that screen. I mean, you're easily rivaling the 600D screen there. Easy for playback. I'm sure there's been a message of some kind over there. There's a lot more tools in it that are designed for broadcast as well, like histograms for checking your colour, a few bits and pieces like that. And what do you record to again? And it records to standard SD. That's the useful thing, of course. If you're filming on a phone, you really should make the preparation that you're filming on that phone, like we said with the airplane mode, but also storage. Data, you know, you'll say, oh, 4K, I need to shoot in 4K, my camera shoots 4K, 4K is better. Like, 4K is not better, 4K is just bigger. You know, if you're not watching it at 4K, what's the point? We all watch things at 1080p usually, if you look at the quality of your phone. And also that's to do with size. I mean, you know, a 7-inch screen resolving 4K, you know, you go, oh yeah, my phone has a 4K screen. It's like, yeah, but you probably can't tell the difference really. Not really, because it's 7 inches wide. If you watch a 1080p video on it and a 4K video, you might go, difference, unknown. So I suggest filming all your stuff in 1080p, because that's how we broadcast from here, and it's how we mostly view back our stuff. And it'll be half the size, wonderful. And also clear out your phone, you know, perhaps, you know, make the consideration of saying, right, whilst I'm doing uni stuff, I'll get rid of all the things I don't need if I need to shoot on my phone. You know, because it really will make the difference. But yeah, this only shoots on SD cards, which means really helpful if you want to, sorry, it's down here. I'm not showing off stuff enough. There, you know, plug an SD card in and out. What have we got on there? We've got a 32 gig in there at the minute. Remember, you're supplying your own SD cards. We do not supply SD cards anymore for the same reason that I tell you to look after cables, because people don't respect them, and we spend... SD cards are so cheap. If you had a major project, you could buy an SD card per project and have still probably not spent £70 by the time you finished your university course. You know, so get a nice big one for like £30 and you'll be fine. You won't need to use it again. You could buy one a year and still not have spent £100. You know, to just keep that in mind. But yeah, you know, we've got zoom control on here. That's the other thing is this has a fixed lens on it. That's what's quite nice about the DSLR is you get to change up your lenses. We have a vast variety of lenses, some zoom lenses, some, yeah, look, 10 times zoom, wow. We've got some zoom lenses, lovely prime lenses as we call them, which means they only have one distance on them. You know, they are either a 50mm or a 100mm, which means it's quite zoomed. Or we have a 25mm, which is quite wide. I don't think we actually have a 25mm lens. 28 probably, yeah. So, but you know, just, and the quality of the glass is like, that's what professional photographers use. So you know that's going to make your video look lovely. Right, so that's a nice small camera. What you would probably be getting used to, probably by the end of this year, and hopefully definitely using next year, is one of these, which is what we call, the previous one was a Sony. Obviously the Canon DSLRs and whatever phone you're using is whatever phone you're using. This is what we call the Sony EA50. We're now getting into what we call an ENG camera, electronic news gathering, as it's referred to. This is quite a nice camera, to be honest. You can see this now has a shoulder mount, so you can see if I come over here, it's designed to sit on my shoulder. I've got this grip right here, you know, and so that allows me to work my lens, look in the viewfinder here, you know. We're now getting onto news, aren't we? You know, this is a news camera. So I've got zoom controls at my hand. This was wide, I think, yep, and this is telephoto, so wide, nice wide shot, like this shot here. Telephoto, like this shot here. So you can see that's zoomed in, you know. And remember, these two cameras that you're watching are the same camera. I'll even show you another one in a minute. So these are great. You've also got zoom and control on here, focus here. We've got dial controls here. Remember, on all cameras, you can watch back what you've done just to make sure you've got what you needed. But now we're talking about something that you're going to be trying to be using for a few hours at a time. And also we're going to talk about the quality. Every one of these cameras, we're going up a step in how good that quality of video looks. This is also SD. The SD card port is right there. You can see next to it we've got two inputs for audio, which are actually on the reverse side right here. As you can see, once again, our old friend the XLR, a beautifully versatile standard. You know, and so you can even have this a bit closer in, a bit tighter if that's what you need. And once again, a nice big screen. This little catch bit at the top here means that there is somewhere an eyepiece that fits over the top of this. So you can use an eyepiece with that, and you know, it just keeps things a bit easier to deal with. But it folds away. Cold shoe mount if you wanted to mount something on there. Microphone or the like. You know, once again, some ways cameras are cameras. But I'm just showing you that there's different types of camera. Battery slots quite nicely in the back here. Just slot it in. Do we have a... you bought one through for me, didn't you?
Yeah, it's in the box.
In the box, marvellous. You know, we use these batteries. These are called Sony MPFs. You can see them. They look quite similar to the Canon batteries. They are not the same. The main reason you can see is these two pin ports here. If I'm to put this in here, is the arrow even on this one? I can't see the arrow on it. There's a little arrow inside, but you will not be able to see that. So I take the two ports with the pins, slide it all the way in. You should have heard that click. And there you go, and that's now ready to go. That should last us a little while, I think. The power button is really handily exactly where your thumb would land for the grip. Do you know what I mean? So I can just go, you have to hold in the green button, power on, you do that with your thumb, and do you want to pull up on this screen here for me, Joel? Come on. It's whirring into life, hopefully. Though these batteries haven't been used for 3 months, say. So it might take a little bit. Where are we? Hang on, why am I not getting any display? Pass. That's neither here nor there. And I want to turn it off, just do the same. And we have a battery release right on the top here. So I just push that button in. You can see there's a little groove bit here. Done. Change your batteries out. Put them all in your bag with you. That's one of the other things, is we have some specific bags for these. Here we are. You might want to pull out on a wide on that. See, this is a nice bag. Lots of pockets. Pockets in this top part here. That's got the charger in it, so if you need to charge batteries on the go. We've got some side pockets, front pockets. There's one on the other side for that. So that when we give you kit, we're not going to tell you how to pack for your job that you're off out to do. We will give you some kit, we'll tell you what would be worth taking, but then it's up to you to maybe take some time to go over to a table and lay this bag out so that your life is easy. Aaron, if he's still here, will admit that that is an art form in its own right. And I know Joel is probably feeling like he's nodding over there. Because if you become a camera owner, you will learn very quickly that there's a fine art to getting yourself prepared. Right, I think I'm going to show you one last camera. Can we just have a quick question? Do people feel informed? Do they feel like they've understood it? Do they feel like they're gaining anything from this? That'll take a few seconds for them to get through on that. You know, just let me know if you feel like it's being covered. Now this is probably one of my favourite cameras of the lot. This is what model is this? I can't remember. Usually it's like, this is a JVC, so it's not a Sony, but this is a JVC. JVC do also produce some lovely cameras. As you can tell, we're into big town. This is what I would legitimately call an ENG camera. If you've been in the studio before, which I imagine a good few of you have by now, you'll have all used one of these because these are the cameras we use in the studio. You won't be getting your hands on one of these to take it on its own until probably about third year, I'd say. But it is very, very good. I'd say the quality of the image, far greater than those other cameras. We've got a decent eyepiece here that's attached. We've got a lovely screen. I mean, look at the size of this screen. These batteries it uses are the same as we use on cinema cameras. These are in television and film industry standard of what we call V-Lock. These are a V-Lock mount battery. What you'll have to be careful of is you need to take this selector on the side here and switch it to battery mode, otherwise it doesn't work. Then when I boot the thing up down here with this nice little clicky mechanical switch, you'll see the blue comes on. This should burst into life. There we go. And it's got two display modes. So we've got this useful one here, which as you can hear is monitoring my audio. Once again, we've got two XLR inputs, one for on camera, one for person talking to mic. You could have two mics set up. Remember, two mics, one for the presenter and one that's possibly going off to a boom pole for your contributor, or perhaps one that's been, we've got two wireless mics, all sorts of different opportunities there. But we can also, if we hit this here, you can see that we've got our image. You know, and I'm zooming in and out once again with the hand clamp here. Now this has interchangeable lenses, but we don't have other broadcast lenses to use with it. It's not something we need to do an awful lot of. It's not particularly helpful, and this is I wouldn't know what to call it on a full frame, because I know you like that as your answer, but it's a 4.5mm to 62mm. But basically all that means to you is it's incredibly wide and incredibly zoomed. I mean, can you get a close-up on that for me, just so I can show that, that difference? So that's how zoomed in we are at the closest, and that's how far we are at the wide, you know. So I can get all the way in and show you that, those cables over there. And that's quite a way away, and I'd say it's at least a few meters away. So you're not going to struggle with this. Once again, this is SD cards. I like SD cards. They make life very simple. They've got locking catches on these ones, so no one's taking your SD cards out. And also it's two SD cards. That's one of the wonderful things when you move up to a very high-end camera, is that you can set that to do one of two things. You can either have it right to both, so you've got backups, which if you've only got one shot at something you might really want, but you can also do it to what we call AB, which means that you could stick two 64 gig cards in there and have 128, yeah, my maths is all right, 128 gigs worth of recording space. So it will start recording, and then once you get to the end of the card, don't worry too much about it. They'll be like, and it will start onto the next one. They might even have some overlap, but it depends on what model camera you're using. This also contains what we call ND filters, but I won't go into all of that. I won't cover all of that yet. How are people happy?
A lot of people are saying, yeah, it's all good.
Please ask me any questions now. Otherwise, I'll say that at 45 minutes we've done this for. I'm just trying to get an introduction to this stuff for you guys. I mean, because it's very difficult without you getting your hands on it to really know. Please ask me any questions, though. Oh yes, that's a good point. You'll see that it's got this lovely soft mount on the bottom because it is supposed to be shoulder mounted. You know, and if you see here, there's a little headphones type cup that you're supposed to put your ear next to, and I can hear all the audio now. And I've got my eyepiece, and there we go. I've got my zoom, got my focus here. In reality, I should just wire up. I could wire up an input of this, but it takes a little while. You know, and I can look through, and I've got what I need. You know, this makes things nice and simple. And this is why I say the difference between. One of the things I want you to come away with is none of these cameras are quote unquote better than the others, technically. Some of them are better quality image, or the point is this is best quality image you're going to get. You don't need that right now. Most of you have never really handled a camera before. To throw this at you would be like saying, okay, now you've had a week of driving lessons, here's a Ferrari. You know, it's just crazy talk. Like, you don't need that. But also situationally, I wouldn't take this for everything. If we're going to get broadcast news, this is perfect. You know, and it also looks the part. Sometimes people don't understand that. If you turn up somewhere with a camera that looks right, people will treat you right. If you turn up with a camera that looks wrong, people go, do you really know what you're doing? And it's a surprising thing, because people see bits of cameras and they go, oh, that's what a camera looks like in my mind. You know, and they go, so that's what you're doing. But if you turn up with a DSLR, people are better at that, understanding what that is now. But
Had a message.
Wonderful.
So from Samuel Clark, I think I sent an email in, but I can only use one hand for cameras because of my disability. This might be easy to discuss in person.
Oh yes, I'm sorry. We do need to have a chat. I don't know if email me again first of all. But like as I said, there are other opportunities. One of the things I haven't shown you are tripods and the like, because we have a tripod there. Wonderful. Bring it over. Joel, my assistant. In he comes. Pop that there. Oh, look at it. It's all tripody. Most of the time, I'm going to turn this here. I'm going to let you turn that around. Most of the time, this is what you'll be using. Do you want to pop it on a wide, just so we can get an idea? There we go. Do not look behind the curtain. Most of the time, this is what you'll be using, really. Honestly. These don't work on them. Long story, not going to get into it. Like I said, you won't be touching this for 2 years, so don't worry too much about it. 9 times out of 10, what do you want? I want a really nice shot at the outside of somewhere. Well, put it on a tripod and point it at there. You know, there is a reason why Joel is currently working a tripod for these 2 cameras. Why? It makes turning smoother and easier and nicer, and 2, he's standing there now with his hands in his pockets. I shouldn't say that, but he is, because he's making sure that all the messages are right. You know, it makes life easier. Now, in your specific case, I would suggest that with what we would call run and gun shooting, I don't know who comes up with these names, but that's a standard. A monopod would be perfect, because what that allows you to do is try 3, mono 1. It allows you to mount the camera onto a single pole, and it gives you that opportunity to move it around very easily. You know, if you want to carry it, just lean it back on the shoulder and walk around. If you want to do anything with it, if you need to keep it stable, it's perfect. I mean, obviously, this would be a much easier thing to discuss in person, just to see, you know, just for you to get a handle on it. I mean, please, by all means, next week, just pop. When's the 8th? Still a few days away, aren't we?
Yeah, so not this coming week, but the week after.
Send me an email, and we'll just arrange a day. We'll just arrange a day. You know, like, not even a day, like an hour. Just come in, handle some of the bits of kit we use, and just see what works and what doesn't for you. Because we'll work it out. That's the important thing to remember, is we'll always just work it out. You know. I hope that helps in some way, rather than just being a minor explanation on tripods and platitudes. Because I'm good at those. Very good at platitudes. Any other questions? Please give me more questions. The question and answer bit.
Thank you.
Oh,
Really helpful.
you are more than welcome. Like I said, please just email me. I've got to deal with my emails after this anyway, because people kept emailing me last night. Don't know why, they just did. Please, any more questions? Anything that comes to mind. There is no such thing as a stupid question as well. Only stupid answers. Hello. Anyone for anything? I want to believe there's at least 3 people who aren't even from this university watching.
Can we book in for a crash course?
You can book in for whatever you like. As long as by crash you do not mean breaking equipment. Nah, it's a joke. It's a joke. Yeah, no, come in and have a look at stuff. Once we are in, one of the news days will be me bringing around the kit that you should be using and just being like, get your hands on it. But come talk to us. Like, we are here. That March is going to be very busy for Aaron and I. If Aaron is still around, he will be knowing exactly what I mean. But we are available. Joel will be in the kit room sometimes, and he's knowledgeable on certain things. And, you know, you might have to stop him when he starts getting into wherever Joel's going to go with it. You might be like, shutter speed, what? You know, but we'll explain all this stuff to you. This is all important stuff to learn, focal length, because cameras are part of your trade, whether they be stills or video. That's part of news. It's part of your trade, you know. And whilst you are here, it pays dividends to you to learn the technical traits of your trade. Even if you do not intend to pursue those elements of the job, will it not put you in better stead to be able to communicate with people about those elements of the job and be knowledgeable? You know, do you respect somebody, do you respect the opinion of someone who knows what they're talking about, or someone who pretends to know what they're talking about, or somebody who just flat out says, I don't know? And especially when it's on something where you go like, well, you've spent a few years doing this now, why don't you know? You know, it's only a short amount of time for you guys to look at some of this stuff to understand it. Please, any more questions? Go on, anything. Anything at all.
We had someone a while back say no.
No questions. Or just no, I don't agree. Wouldn't it pay for you to learn this thing? No, I don't want to know cameras. I'm sat here through brute force and ignorance. I know everybody wants to get back to planning their stories. I'm sure that's what all of you want to do. If not, you're doing it right now, as you're casually not paying attention to what I'm saying. If there's not anything else, say no. Just all no's.
Looks like that. No one knows.
Well, it's not even no's. Everyone's gone already. They're like, he's petered out. Right, well then, thank you very much, everybody. I'm glad you turned up, if you turned up. If you're watching this in later, ooh, hello to you in the future. And we'll leave you be there. So, thank you very much. Have a lovely day.